my name is Type the Writer and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to be doing 10 plus 1 books I probably won't finish and why. We're joining me on my floor today because standing is effort and I can't be bothered. So as readers there's probably a number of books that, you know, you've read, I've read definitely, that you maybe haven't liked quite so much. You know, I know some people would push through and read it so that they could give like an honest review of it. I am not that kind of person. I read purely for enjoyment, so if I'm not enjoying it, that book's going down. Which can sometimes be interesting because I can get bored very easily. So the first book on this list, and arguably the most controversial one, Simon vs. the Homo sapiens agenda. So the thing about this, and probably the downfall of this book, is that I watched the film first and I really liked the film. And while the film is quite a faithful adaptation, they did change some rather noticeable things, like Simon's entire character. In this he's, I don't want to say stereotypically gay, but he's very stereotypically gay. He is theatre nerd, outgoing, very flamboyant sort of personality, but he's closeted. So, I don't know. He was a bit arrogant, a bit stuck up, whereas in the film he was very much portrayed as just trying to survive. I didn't read a lot. I tried to. I couldn't get into it. And I did try. A while ago I was looking for a new book to read and this one did pop up and I read it and I was like, you know, I don't really want to read that one. And then the film came out and I really loved the film, so I decided maybe if I give the book a chance I'll actually like it. And honestly I was probably right with my first instinct of that's not for me, because it wasn't. So the next book on my list is Charisma. To be honest, I only really bought this book because I was buying, I think I was buying Burning Midnight maybe? And I needed another book to get the buy one get one free deal. I like the idea of it. It sounds interesting. In theory it should be everything I love, you know, but I didn't like the main character. I felt it was very much holding you by the hand while it was taking you through the world, and it wasn't like, you know, dropping it in subtly. It was just, oh by the way this is a thing and I really want this, and oh I wish I had that, and it was just very unsubtle. This one I put down and was like, yeah, that's not happening. The next book I don't actually own. My friend and I did a book swap a couple of years ago now actually. She gave me Dream House. Now, if any of you have visited my Goodreads, you will know that book was my nemesis. It's a terrible book. I'm sorry. It was dull and repetitive and boring, and the main character had a very terrible motivation to stay in this house that made no sense to me. The book is like 200 pages and honestly it should be at least half of that. I'm not joking. It was awful. Its entire bulk, most of it was she woke up, she got some food, she went to the toilet, she went down into the basement because she didn't learn the day before, so now she's going down again. Creepy things happened, she got scared, so she went back up, had some more food, went to bed. Creepy things happened while she was sleeping. She got scared. She woke up. She thought it was a dream. She got some food. I have never had a more difficult time with a book than with that book, and I wanted to like it because my friend had absolutely loved it, had been singing her praises, the author's praises, and I was just sitting there like, that book really needs to go through the publishing ring a lot more. The next one I have, disclaimer, now you saw this if you watched my previous video, this one was in there, so I picked this one up in an airport. But I remember reading the blurb and for whatever reason I thought it sounded like someone had like snuck into her life or had used some kind of like witchcraft and wizardry to find out things about her life, and it sounded like, you know, a bit more of a mystery. I just vaguely remember feeling that the blurb and the actual story themselves were quite different. I just remember not liking it as much as I kind of hoped I would. So this next one, The Baron of Auschwitz. This is probably the biggest book that I own, apart from archenemies back here. When I went to America, I bought 2 books. So I bought this one and obviously Archenemies, because that was out in America in November and it wasn't out in England until April this year. So this one was the other one that I bought, and I bought it because the blurb caught my attention, and then when I read it I felt like the blurb didn't really capture what the story was about. Again, it's another translation. I seem to have an issue with translations. I don't know why. The writing style in this is okay. You can tell it's a translation, unfortunately, because some of the phrasing is he did that, she did this, they did that, and it's annoying. This is how far I got through it. And she's already the librarian, and I thought it's going to happen in the book, and when I read this, or read the first couple of chapters of it, it kind of felt like it had already happened. She was already taking care of the book, she was already protecting them. The guy had pretty much already asked her. I think he officially asked her. There was a lot of, he had asked her to take care of the books and she would protect them with her life, so like it had already happened sort of thing. And that kind of annoyed me because I wanted to read about, you know, how that came to be and like how that happened. Everything happened in the first, you know, that much. I don't know what the rest of the book is going to be then, and it's quite a lot of the rest of the book. So the next one I have is Neuromancer. And again, this one was an interesting sounding book. So this one was lent to me by my dad. I was in the middle of a reading slump at the time and he thought, you know, this is one of his favourite books, maybe I'll like it. And maybe I would have, but like I said, I was in the middle of a reading slump at the time and I just could not get into it. I don't really remember what I had a problem with about it, but I did. I haven't read it in a long time and I didn't read much of it to begin with, so I don't know a lot about it, but I mean, possibly an interesting book, but not at the time. The next book I have, Rivers of London. This is basically the same again. My dad really liked this one and he, you know, gave it to me to read. I actually got quite far into this one, I'm impressed. I got about halfway through before I dropped it. To be honest, I was probably a bit young for this one. I was very much into teen fiction at the time. I was reading a lot of that sort of style of writing, and then this one is obviously adult. So maybe if I try and read it again now that I'm kind of delving a bit more into young adult and adult fiction, and I'll like it a bit more. And again, I like the idea, and clearly I got quite far through it, but for whatever reason I struggled with it. The writing style maybe. I remember it being quite long-winded, taking quite a while to build up. The characters were okay, but I didn't find any real connection to them. Not because they were badly written, just because I couldn't relate. They're adults, I was not. Alrighty, so the next one I have is arguably another controversial one, and that is Crown of Midnight. I read the first one in this series, and I liked it. And then I read this one, and I gave up. I liked her in the first book. In this book, I remember getting quite annoyed with her and kind of like, you know, it started to feel like an effort to read it, so I put it down and I haven't picked it back up since, and I'm not sure I will now. I also heard quite bad things about the rest of the series, and that's another point. The rest of the series exists. It has quite a lengthy series attached to it and quite a active fan base for the books as well. I probably wouldn't continue on with the rest of the series. The next one, Spark. I loved Ink. It's an awesome book. I thought it was amazing and I really liked it. I really loved the world building, I really loved the character, though she was a little annoying at times, but I kind of liked that because, you know, she was her own character unashamedly and it was great. I wasn't sure about the setting of this one. It didn't feel quite as in-depth, as explained, as, you know, built up as in Ink. It was very lived in, whereas this one felt a bit empty. My other issue with this one is that I wasn't expecting this. I'm gonna be real, I thought Ink was an amazing book as a standalone. I didn't think it needed a second book. So now, last two. The first one I have here, Gone. So if you actually look behind me, you can see I not only have this one, but also the second and the third book in the series. Don't have any more, I think there's 6 in total. I really liked what I read of this book, and I've read several parts of it, as well as the ending, and I really liked the concept. I really loved, you know, the characters, the world. It worked, I liked it. My problem was that it was very heavy. I've never managed to get past, last time I think I managed to get really far into it, and I actually managed to get, say, about this far in, which is probably the furthest I've ever gotten into it, maybe even halfway, and then I just couldn't anymore. It's one of those books where you cannot read it for long periods of time because it's just so bleak. In the first couple of chapters, there's a car crash and one of the main characters like breaks her entire leg and it's gross and I hated it. You know, I managed to get past that the second time, but it is just that level of like bleak, gory sort of thing so much, just all the time. The entire book is like that. You definitely need a nice happy light book on the side. And of course, I think we're all expecting this one. My last book on this list is of course The Hobbit. So if you want to know exactly why, see my last video right at the end, the last 2 minutes or so. That's what I think about it. To be honest, this one was given to me, and if it hadn't been given to me, I probably would never have picked it up. It's not something I'd really choose for myself, not for me. And that's all of my books. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Maybe give me a little comment like, hey, how you doing? What's up? Cool. And if you want to see more like this, then hit that subscribe button. Also the bell, I think we're doing that now. If you want to be notified. If you don't, that's chill. If you don't want to subscribe, that's also chill. I'm not going to force you to. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!